Hey. Hello.
Anybody else out there?
Probably on the phone.
Yes. Might be having a quick potty break. We good to go, Vicki?
Yes.
Okay. Going into number 6, employee performance discussion. Not as much as a no on this is.
Maybe we should just check with them real quick to make sure that they're trusting them.
Emily, is there anything I need to read right now since we're in open session? We're about ready to discuss the employee performance discussion in regards to a staff member who's requested an open meeting, unless that's changed. Has that changed at all?
That has not changed.
That has not changed. Emily?
No, there's nothing you need to read. You can proceed with the conversation.
So Mike, I think there's some concerns about performance that we as a council want to address. Specifically, looking back over the last few years of performance reviews, we've outlined several things that have come up continuously, and we haven't really had a way to address those formally to stay on track. And so today in this meeting, we want to talk about those and see if there's something we can do to address performance to get it where we believe it should be. If we look back at the performance review from 2021, we mentioned things like Mike needs to focus on follow-up tasks. Mike needs to ensure crisp communication between the city and public. Mike needs to focus on his team quality of deliverables at small details. Public Works has a lot of deliverables. For the largest staff department, you have an administrative assistant and Melinda. We as a council would expect greater productivity from the department.
Can I make a correction at this point? We are not the largest staff department, the police department.
Okay, Mike, thank you. We'll take comments here when we get through this. Council assigned tasks, but updates are not forthcoming. We have to ask you for updates at council meetings. The perception is that you continue to call on Melinda as the city council asks for things. You're a boot on the ground employee, but we wanted you to develop management skills, and the council would encourage you to find meaningful management classes in 2022. We're unsure where that's going. We're looking back at a review from 2020. We encourage Mike to pay attention to small details and taking a lead to ensure the little things are not missed. We ask you to continue addressing small issues as things continually come up. We ask that we would like to see efforts to ensure, again, little things are covered. Mike can do better on listening and communicating to vendors and various projects regarding the directed position of the city. Specific things we called out were finished wastewater master plan, complete city hall renovation, And again, employee goals here stated that you were going to pay attention to small details. If you go back to the 2019 review, we asked that you need to more effectively project manage the city to include scoping and budget. We also put need to improve leading by example and need to improve on quality of work. So over the breadth of 3 years, it sounds like we've asked for continual follow-up on the same issues as they've come up. Specific instances are the G Street project, general park cleanup, paint spills around town, city hall completion, the lapse in the Civil West engineering contract, the time it's taken to get to the point we're at today in wastewater master plan, general street maintenance, as is apparent today on A Street, the sidewalk assessment that we, I think, went around about for 6 months to get to, council updates that we asked for, but you would always say, my report's in front of you, and we would have to ask you for the updates rather than you know, directing us and leading us in those discussions. Most recently, the issues at Barnsley Park regarding mowing that didn't look like it would take place in several months. The defacing of the memorials that wasn't addressed for over a day. And then the spraying of chemicals the day before the Easter egg hunt, in which our children did not participate amongst other children in town. I think other concerns are when we ask you for things or we bring things to your attention that have come up, you say that they're off their radar, you ran out of time, they fell through the cracks. And these things have continued to persist over the last 3 years. So I think there's at least concern on my part as a counselor, my part as a citizen and a taxpayer, that we might not be moving in the direction that we need to move from Public Works to make sure that we're maintaining the city as needed. And I'll turn it over to Council President for other comment.
Councilor Allen, you have anything to add?
Well, since I haven't been counselor during these reviews, I don't have anything to specifically add to those, no.
Okay, Councilor Prinsloo.
No, I think my esteemed colleague put out what our concerns are. I don't have any other additional concerns.
Okay. In reading and listening, I think it's in our best interest if we formulate a work plan and attainable goals, and we give fairness to the employee to reach those goals, and we evaluate those goals on a either every 2 months, 4 months, 6 months. And maybe it's not fair of us to not put anything in writing from previous evaluations. I mean, instead of just saying, please do this and we'll call it good, maybe we should have instituted some sort of written work plan.
Yeah, I mean, I think where we're at in 2022, and we're talking about issues that have persisted for 2019, 2020, 2021, we're 3.5 years in, we continually discuss the same issues. Shame on us as a council for not putting in place a plan for success or an action plan, but there are actionable items that the employee could take to improve performance. If we have had the concerns over numerous performance evaluations, we haven't taken the executive step to put something on paper so that we can say we have a checkbox that we're either hitting this or we're missing it. If we're missing it, this is the direction that it needs to go. So I'm with you in that.
Tonight could be the start of the paper trail.
I think that.
Or very soon, maybe next meeting after we bring the thoughts together, or however council wants to do this. But to blindly, I mean, we're going to give our staff a chance to meet measurable goals. And if then at that point, we feel that it's not being met, then maybe we go to the next step. Whatever that step is.
So what's your suggestion?
I suggest that either we, as council, put our thoughts down on paper and send them to either Emily to write up or to the recorder to write up, however it's determined. And then whether we meet in 2 weeks or a special meeting to make sure that our goals are set in paper, and then we bring that forth with Mr. Krebs and go from there.
So you're suggesting formal performance improvement plan so that Emily has a chance to review it. We as a council have a chance to put these thoughts exact on paper. I'd be in favor of that as well.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. And that way he has a targeted goal of what his performance should be. Instead of just, hey, please, maybe next time. Mike, what's your thoughts?
If that's the direction the council wants to go, then let's do it. A lot of what he mentioned was out of my for example, the G Street project, which is Russ had just got this position, and it had been approved by 2 different councils prior to the one sitting up there. And then there was a decision made that was partially during the construction that they wanted the road wider. Okay, I was assuming at the time that seeing as it had been approved by 2 different councils, that's what the council wanted. So that was out of my control on that because it had already been approved twice.
That part I can understand. Maybe it was more about the proactive part when it came to the stenciling on the ground. That you had to come back to council and tell us it's wrong, and we said, no, make it right, period. You're the boss, you go after them if they don't make it right. And we want you, that's the kind of performance we want to see, that you come to us and say something wasn't done right, but we took care of it and we made it right. And instead of us having to say, well, look, go after their bond, hold them to it. Because I think it's too easy for us to, we don't really know just what we think. And we think that we have to go after somebody's bond. We think that's the right way, and it was effective in getting it fixed. But that's just one thing. And we want you to take ownership. So I think if we put it down on writing that we can have measurable goals to hold Public Works accountable for their actions, then I think it'll be a win for you. It should be a win for us and a win for the community.
Okay, let's do it then.
Emily, thoughts?
No, that sounds good to me. I can draft up a draft if you'd like, based on the conversations and the conversation tonight and the performance reviews, and circulate it if that sounds good. And then we can have a special meeting. It sounds like you said in a couple weeks. I'll be out of town, but Ashley can cover. If that sounds
That'd
good.
be awesome.
Does that sound fair?
That'll work.
All right. Thank you, Emily. Do we need to do anything now since we're on session? Okay. Thank you all for your participation. Moving on to number 7, discussion regarding distributing ARPA funds.
So I had a conversation with the city manager, Woodburn, asked him how they were utilizing the ARPA funds for utility billing. And he said that they set up with Love Inc. And it's a whole, well, you got the whole thing there, but they set up an account, and if somebody qualifies, which is outlined in their I forget what they're called, but the policy. And then the Love Inc. would pay the city of Woodburn back the money that they put 15,000. It looks like we put 25,000, because I believe that's what we dedicated to that. And then if there's a citizen who qualified, then it'd pay back the city. Reading the whole policy there, it looked like everything was covered. I don't know if there's anything we would need to add, other than changing the city of Woodburn to city of Hubbard, but, and then 25,000 for 2 years. I noticed that they only did a year, and then they sent another letter for another year. I guess that would be verbiage we'd have to talk about, but I guess my question is, do you want me to contact Love Inc. and see if this is even feasible with them?
I think that would be a good use of a public resource rather than tasking one of the city staff to have to monitor, take applications and that sort of thing.
He did mention there was some administrative costs that would come out of that 25 grand each year.
Did he say how much?
No, I'd probably have to go. We had an impromptu conversation at a swearing in at Woodburn. I probably have to talk to the finance director over there to get more in depth. I'll get more info and research if the council would like me to pursue that way.
I know as a rule of thumb, the 455,000 that we got for rent assistance, 50,000 of it went to Love Inc. to host or handle so I don't know what the math is, but it's 5,000 for, advertising and getting the program out, 400,000 between Jervis, Hubbard, and Woodburn, and 50,000 for them to administer that fund. So I want to make sure that our fair share is not going to administrative costs and leaves us with a small pot to help people with. But yes, they are a nonprofit and they are recognized by most communities around here for their charitable work. And, I guess if you have to have somebody do it, probably the best to have it done.
So I believe Vicki reached out to some other company, but
I did, but that doesn't have to do with these funds. That's separate.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
They'll be coming to another meeting to talk to you. I brought it up at the last meeting, but I just thought the June meeting, I was trying not to confuse the two. But we kind of jumped the gun on this, but it's probably okay. I have Tanya online to talk about these funds and maybe how we can start distributing them and what we need to do. If we need to adopt resolutions or whatever.
so before we get on to that, would you like me to reach out to Lovney or look in another direction?
I think if you could reach out and see if they're, able to do that and what their cost would be.
Looking under their fees and expenses, banking fees necessary to open and operate the bank account. Supplies necessary to provide services under this agreement, such as check stock, will be allowable expenditure from this bank account. Additionally, Love Inc. may retain 10% of actual financial utility assistance provided under this agreement as a reimbursement for program administration expenses. So I don't know if that's
So
15% of the $150 per account, or is that 15% of the total?
It should be 15% of the total.
15 or 10%?
I'm sorry,
10%.
It should be about 2,500 each.
So,
We have 50,000 dedicated, so it'd be 5,000 of it.
so 5,000 of it would go to their Maybe, it says may. Retained.
Okay, I'll follow up on that. Sorry, Vicki.
No, that's okay. So that would be a follow-up back to, at the next city council meeting.
Okay, that's it for,
And then Tommy's online to start, to talk about these funds and how to start distributing. We have all this list here. So what do we need to do? Do we need to adopt resolutions? Can we just go ahead and start paying this out, or, you know what I mean?
all right, Tanya, go ahead and let us know what we need to do next.
Hi. It's a pleasure to meet all of you virtually tonight. So the big thing about the ARPA funds is one of the things that we were concerned about is making sure that the city stay below spending $750,000 of federal funds so that you didn't have a single audit. There has been a change just that's breaking news in the last month, where now that's not the case. So if the city did want to spend, tranche 1 and tranche 2 that you guys have laid out in your plan, at the same time you can. It would require a compliance examination by your auditor, but it would be substantially less expensive than a single audit. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that there is some new developments that have been happening around the ARPA funds specifically. As far as paying out the amounts, the city can go ahead and start paying out the amounts. The biggest thing is to ensure that the individual vendors that you're going to be giving the funding to are not included on the SAM.gov disbarment list. So all of the individual vendors that you've listed, so like Love Inc., Love Santa Organization Support, Liberty House, Jubilee Food, all of those, I've already looked to make sure that they're not on the disbarment list, so you can go ahead and start distributing those funds. You shouldn't need a resolution for every single one. You should be able to move forward with your water and wastewater infrastructure needs as well.
Okay, do we need a resolution for any of this?
You should have a resolution stating that this is what your plan is. I know that I believe that you have your list, but I don't think you have like a resolution that's how you're going to spend the funds.
So would the resolution just simply be this, the plan that we laid out would be our exhibit attached to the resolution? And that these are the monies that we're gonna spend and who they're gonna go to?
Yeah, and then maybe put something in there. You could ask legal counsel exactly how to word it, but assuming that you're not going to make any substantial changes. If you are, then you'll come back and do an amendment or whatever.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, so
If council would authorize staff to work with legal to prepare a resolution to bring back to the next city council meeting.
we direct staff to come up with a resolution as stated for the next council meeting. That'd be awesome. All in agreement? Yep, okay,
Thank you.
all right.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.
Okay, move on to number 8, Marion County Circuit Court Judge.
Urias Johnson. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
Look, got me after the performance, after money. Nice, and smiles. It's good to have you here. How's everybody doing? Judge Urias Johnson Jr. I'm the newest Marion County judge. I was appointed February 2nd, sworn in February 14th, which I'm sure everyone knows that's Oregon's birthday. Took the bench on March 1st. So part of what I believe in and access to justice is knowing your community, letting your community know you. So since I've been on the bench, I've been visiting neighborhood associations. I live in Salem. My wife calls it rural Salem because we're like unincorporated, so we're not really in the city. So I'm like, okay, we need to make unincorporated Salem a city. I've also been visiting city councils. I've been to Sublimity, Woodburn, Kaiser, Almsville. Tomorrow I'm gonna hit Turner. So I just want everybody I want to know my community. I want to know what Marion County looks like.
realizing how sprawling it is and everybody's potentially appearing in front of me. I'm also, just like the council, earlier, I want transparency. So God forbid you see my name in the newspaper, it's me. I take responsibility for what I do. Just like you can come into my courtroom, see how I work, see how I treat people that come before me. So I invite anybody to come to my courtroom, 4B, Marion County Circuit Court. And I don't want to take up any more of your time, but I can take questions if y'all have any burning inquiries.
Did you take somebody's retired position?
Judge Tripp, she retired, so I took her spot. Yeah,
Congratulations.
she's an excellent judge.
Do you have a specialty, whether it's juvenile?
No, I do it all. When I came onto the bench, I said, I'm gonna do it the same way I practice, don't turn anything away. So I do the government stuff because it's Marion County, and criminal, civil, family, do it all.
Great.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you and welcome.
Congratulations. First judge's visit.
Yeah.
That's what everyone tells me. I'm like, I'm sure you have police officers here, the mayor's here, city council's here. You should have the third branch of government. So let everybody know, it's one big happy thing.
Thanks for coming all the way up here to Hubbard.
No,
This is the second judge, first time in that circuit court.
Okay.
Municipal judge here.
I appreciate being invited to a courtroom.
Yeah.
Not with this.
I have a police officer who's been coming to neighborhood association meetings, and he calls it proactive community engagement. So you can get to see me in a non-enforcement paradigm. So you can actually come and see me before you have to come and see me.
Were you a judge prior? Or?
No, so I'm a practitioner, private practice. Before that, I was a legislative analyst for Oregon representative. And before that, I was a director of civil rights for the Oregon Attorney General for the Department of Justice. And coming from New York, I came here in 2013. So I've been practicing 20 years. This year, didn't realize it. So, yeah.
All right. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Same here. I really appreciate it. I love seeing how true democracy actually works. People don't realize we have a republic. It's not a democracy. You have to go down to the local level to actually see how it actually works. So, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Good night. You stay coffee.
All right.
Yeah.
Moving on, number 9, appearance of interested citizens. Do we have any interested citizens here, or do we have any interested citizens?
Nothing.
Nothing? Anything online?
Oh, yes, there is something. When you shut your door, you can still hear everybody's words out in the hallway.
That means we have to kick you out of the building.
I was out of the building.
We'll remember that. We need a little
You
tent out
need
there.
the rubber strip, the rubber stripping at the bottom, probably the terminal. Yes.
Noise machine. All right, moving on, mayors and or councils presentations. Councilor Youngman, you have anything?
What I'd like to get is those reviews that you were reading earlier. Like to get copies of those, so that way I can kind of take a closer look at those. So that I've been on council for quite a while, and those are all done while I was off council, so
All right. Anything else?
that's all I have.
Councilor Prinsloo?
No, thanks for getting the water taken care of today in such a timely manner.
You're welcome.
Councilor Thomas?
Thank you.
I have nothing under council presentations, so moving on, I'm going to go right into staff reports. Police Chief Rash?
Okay, police activity, Councilman Thomas asked about the little girl that started at the park and same thing. Had an officer check and it sounds like she's doing okay. Just some, I don't know what you call it, stitches and stuff. And she's supposed to be going back to school this week. So that was good to hear. On hiring and personnel, Officer Davis has done very well in his field training. And he's going to be released on his own after tonight. We're going to have him assigned to Sergeant Anderson's shift for two reasons. One is so he can have a resource within basically for 40 hours a week on duty. And then in June, Sergeant Anderson's going to a week-long advanced leadership school, and he's also got a vacation, so it fills gaps during the swing shift. So, but come July 1, the plan is to be 24/7, at least on paper. So we should have someone all through graveyard, and hopefully we'll stay that way. Officer Y was looking to go somewhere else. Sergeant Anderson, I sat down with him, basically told him our personal plans with him and the department direction we'd like to see going. And next thing I know, I get a text from Sergeant Anderson. I think he's changing his mind, and he called me the next day and said he changed his mind. So we were very ecstatic about that. So we hopefully it'll be full staff, and hopefully we can work as a group here for some time. So community outreach, we are going to participate on field day at the North Marion Middle School. So we're looking forward to that. That's on June 15th, so it must be the last day of school. And then on June 18th, I just got a letter. It's not in here. I forget how you say their names. The Marion Carl Park. Thank you. They're requesting the street be shut down on June 18th from 9:30 till 11:15. So I'm going to authorize that, and we'll have officers on duty to support the function there as in past years. And then again, National Night Out's August 2nd, and hopefully we're going to get some neighborhoods to sign up. And that's pretty much it. We've got a lot of training coming up in the next month or two. So does anybody have any questions about the police department?
No, I appreciate the updates, especially when you let us know there's sirens running through town, through parks, and so at least we can field off some of the issues. I appreciate hearing all the things, so we're up to par on what's going on.
Well, I figure if I'm getting calls, then you guys will be getting calls too. So that's true. We don't want any surprises out there.
Was the shots fired, really shots fired?
I think that was a cover on a wood burn. Yeah. Yeah, we haven't had a shots fired in town. No. Yeah. Yeah, like generally when the shot fired, I find it out, we're going down to cover wood burn. So, knock on wood, hopefully we won't have shots fired in this thing.
Great, thank you, Chief. Any questions of Chief Rash, Council? All right, moving on. We don't have Chief Budget with us tonight, and I don't think there's anything new on that development front. Administrative Department, Vicki?
One thing that I would like to add and get some direction. The city had received a Community Prosperity Initiative intergovernmental agreement, which was for $45,000. We got $15,000. The council agreed to earmark that for the G Street project, which that's been happening. Then they went ahead and increased that another $30,000, which will be getting $15,000 for the next 2 years. And what I was hoping in our plan for the comprehensive plan and urban growth boundary was one of the council's projects, or in your guys' plan that you just recently did. So I was thinking that the council may want to earmark that $30,000 for the comp plan and UGB expansion. It's going to be approximately $42,000 to go through that whole process.
Now, this was the can that was brought up when we had ARPA funds and we kicked it down the street for it. And now we're getting to where later is, and we probably need to look at getting it done.
Yeah, this came up several years ago. There was some grant fund money, and the council decided to wait, but yeah, it's kind of been kicked down the road, but this was in the goal setting. This was one of the items that's in the goal setting, and we're getting to the point now where it's time to update it.
How long ago was the last plan made?
You know, you'd
15
ask
years
that, in
ago,
the-
20 years ago, what do you think?
ask you that before. Mike, I'm gonna pick your brain. Do you recall
Yeah, what pops into my mind is 2012.
2012? Okay, I'm sorry. But I
That's
think
okay.
you had asked
So
that
10 years ago.
before.
And we get the comprehensive plan down, does that open up more doors for more grants, things like that?
Well, the comprehensive plan looks at the zoning and how the housing has expanded and what the needs are for the city. And then you would go out for the urban growth boundary and expand for that. There are potentially grants to do the study, but you were kind of in a waiting,
But I
will
mean-
one come up? I don't know.
I mean, when it's done, that gets us more growth, economic.
Right, so you would have your urban growth boundary expanded out so that the city can grow.
Yeah, it basically, it gives us here's where we are, this is where we're gonna be in 10 years. And then normally the time frame is 10 to 20-year growth, and we attain most of those goals, then it's time to take another look, gives you a direction to, if you look at it, I don't know, trying to invite some larger store or business, we want to expand our business park. We need to expand our urban growth boundaries, and look at, that growth area there. There's been a lot of infill done in the city. Right now we're looking on the south end of town, we're going to grow out that way. And so it was a big study that we did that. I think we spent like 18 months doing that last time.
Yeah, it's a long
It's quite a bit
process.
Quite a bit of work.
And it is a requirement of the state requires you to keep a certain amount of lands for infill.
I know we've talked about it, we just kept saying, well, we'd rather money go somewhere else, but we're probably to the point that
So when we're doing the budget right now, and without that 30,000, then it's all a big hit on the general fund. So I kind of ran it by Charles briefly, and he suggested, I bring it here, and you guys tell me how you want to do it. I've got it in the budget. And I've got it listed in the budget. It's however you guys want to spend that $30,000 and what purchases what,
Council, what do you think? Should we finally address this issue
Where to spend the money?
on this comprehensive plan?
And that's gonna be, like James said, was that it's gonna be over, 2-year span for, or more, if you go into the urban growth boundary expansion.
I think it's time. We need to address it. We've been putting it off the entire time that we've been on the city council. So do you need a resolution, or what is it you need?
Nope, I just need consensus of the council, and I'll put it in the budget that way, and that's what it'll be.
Consensus?
Yes.
Okay, we have consensus from the council in the budget. Comprehensive plan.
Thank you. I do not have anything else to add to my report unless you have any questions.
Newsletter items due by June 14th. Anything else, council? All right, thank you, Vicki. Public Works?
Yeah,
Actually, I forgot to ask if there was anything on the consent agenda that anybody wanted removed.
I don't.
Understand
I didn't see anything.
We did receive a $20,000 grant for, to put towards the wastewater facility, plan that we're dealing with right now. That is, proceeding nicely. We've got, all of the infiltration and inflow study done to the sewer system. The areas that they found to have a problem, we're going to go ahead and PV them so we can actually take a look on the inside and see what their actual condition is. Last week, the week prior, there was a survey company around taking inverses of the sewer lines, which is the top of the sewer pipe. So we get our elevation, so we know all that. Let's skip down to the permit for the wastewater plant. It is currently in DEQ's hands, going through internal review to make sure they've got everything in there that they need to have in there. And after it's done with the internal review, we'll have a 2-week period that we can take a look at it and make comments. And after that, it goes to the public review to have the public take a look at it. And then after that, it becomes what we have to live with up at the wastewater plant. The 2 changes there that are going to happen is they're going to require us, or requiring us a limit on ammonia, and they're also gave us a limit on the temperature on the creek. But those are things we've kind of known were coming for a while, so no surprise. Other than that, I think it's all pretty much here. Any questions on anything you see here that I can answer? Oh, one other thing I was thinking of is we have gone out to offer out the position for the utility 1, and the first review will be the 30th of May. So hopefully we'll get more hits on it this time than we did last time.
Good to hear. Council, you have anything on any of these? Appreciate the spring cleanup, that went well. Councilor Thomas, you have anything?
No questions, thank you. Councilor Lower.
No questions.
The only question I have, I wrote down here is, when should we maybe be seeing any street repairs? Is that coming up this summer?
It would be after the budget's passed to see what kind of money we've got in there. I did start the pothole repairs on A Street. Unfortunately, because of the weather and other circumstances, we haven't been able to get back to that. With pothole materials, they cost about $15, and if you put it in a wet pothole, it won't stay. So it's just a matter of getting to it when you can. I had that on the agenda for this afternoon, but we had a slight bit of a water leak this morning, so we need to deal with that.
A Street was particularly the one.
Yeah.
It's just really rough. Okay. I have nothing else. Thank you very much. All right, we have the consent agenda before us. I'll just bring them by title. Approval of the city council meeting minutes for April 5th, 2022 special, April 12th, 2022, April 25th, 2022 special. Approval of the April 2022 check registry report. Approval of the water fund technical assistance project financing contract and authorize the council president to sign. Approval of the Goldie, Gerber, Harley application user in this park covered area, and 3 picnic tables for the annual Garber Gathering Picnic Sunday, April 14th, 2022, from 11 to 4. And accept the revised personnel service agreement with civil engineering for city engineer services and authorize public works superintendent Mike Krebs to sign. No motion to accept the consent agenda as stated.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda as stated.
And motion and seconded, all in favor of accepting the consent agenda as stated, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Other city business. None. Councilor Yonley? With that, I appreciate everybody's getting together tonight, giving up a Tuesday night on the council meeting. Let's be safe, go out there, and do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We adjourn.